Good morning. Welcome to the Creative Living Fellowship Sunday morning online service. Please join Deborah Covington, our song leader, in our opening song, Use Me.
Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. I used to think God was the sun, God is the sun, and God's so much more than the earth and the stars and all of creation. God is creator, all in all, and God needs us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Ooh. Command my hands, what must they do? Command my life, it's here for you. God is the love that heals all creation. God is creator, makes all things new, and God needs us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do.
Hi, CLF.
Hi, CLF. I love you and miss you.
Hi, CLF.
Good morning, CLF.
Hi, CLF. May love and peace be with you all.
Those were members of our youth ministry, some of the kids there. And I always smile when I see them because I miss the kids. I miss the teachers who are in the youth ministry. And it's always so good to see them on Sunday mornings. Welcome to Creative Living Fellowship. I'm the Reverend Dr. Rasheryl McCreary. It is my honor to be the senior minister here and to welcome you here this morning. CLF is a religious science church and teaching center, and we welcome all paths that lead to truth. Our vision here is to be a community of care, connection, and creation that opens hearts and incubates dreams. And we do that through the principles and practices of the science of mind. We have two practitioners who are holding high watch for us today. They are Reverend Mary Jane Hyde and Carrie Sherman. And what that means is that they're sitting in meditation and prayerful contemplation, just holding a space for the perfect unfolding of this service and for the perfect unfolding of whatever may be going on in our individual lives and in the world. Thank you so much for your service, Reverend Mary Jane and Carrie. We really appreciate it. Our Sunday service team consists of Nicole Jordan and Deb Covington on AV, and our music director, David Panessa. They really work hard to bring the Sunday service together on Sunday mornings, and we really appreciate their service here today. We're going to now have our video announcements brought to us by Nicole Jordan. After the video announcements, there will be a brief gong wash, and then following the gong wash, there'll be a few moments of silence, and then Reverend Dr. Joyce Bukers will bring us our opening prayer and the reading. For now, here's Nicole with the announcements.
Good morning, Creative Living Fellowship. Are you ready for today's announcements? Today, I'd like to start off with some exciting news. We have been, for the last couple of weeks, live streaming simultaneously to Facebook Live, as well as on our YouTube channel and on our website. For our website, just click on this link right here that says watch our live stream, and it'll take you right to it. And now on to our regularly scheduled programming. Remember to join us for midday meditation on Facebook at noon, Monday through Thursday. And maybe you can meet Sinatra, our meditation cat. Stay connected and supported with your CLF family and join Reverend Sherry every Tuesday as she hosts a Community Care Connection Zoom meeting at 6:30 p.m. There's no reason to miss out on your CLF family. While it's not the same as in-person connections, we are so grateful for technology that enables us to stay connected and in touch. This week, we are having conscious conversations. If you would like to recommend a topic or activity, please send an email to connect@creativelivingfellowship.com. And we look forward to seeing you on Tuesday. This Friday at 7 p.m. is Quantum Chair Yoga and Meditation with Reverend Christopher Guru Karam Gallagher. Join Reverend Christopher for powerful Kundalini yoga practices and meditation. QCY is now offered twice a month for a love offering. Remember, you can use text to give to make your contributions to CLF. Simply text the amount you'd like to give to 602-610-1868. If it's your first time donating by text, you'll be sent a link to set up your account. And then after that, it's as easy as texting the amount you'd like to give to 602-610-1868. CLF is a tithing church, which means that we tithe off of your donations. And our third quarter tithes are going to St. Mary's Food Bank. Speaking of tithing our quarterly tithes, we are looking for nonprofits to send our next quarterly tithes to. If you have a nonprofit you would like to nominate, please use a link found in the comments to submit your recommendation. Our Sunday prayer room is available to you after service today. Just like in-person prayers on Sunday, you have an opportunity to pray with a CLF practitioner, except now it is done in a Zoom room. So immediately after service, head on over to Zoom and let one of our licensed practitioners hold the truth for you, no matter what you're going through, and offer you support through spiritual mind treatment and using spiritual practices. The meeting will close by 11:30 so everyone can attend the emergency community meeting today. Emergency meeting? That's right. Today at 11:30 a.m., we are having a community meeting via Zoom. It is open to the community, but it is essential active CLF members be there. This is an informational meeting discussing the status of CLF and where we go from here. The meeting link was in a few emails that went out last week, as well as in the comments or on our website under events. Also, due to the meeting, we will not be having Sunday fellowship today. You can find the details for all of our events with their links on our website under events, under our Facebook under events, posted in the comments, or in your weekly newsletter. And that's it for today's announcements. It is now time to move on to our gong wash, and I'll be seeing you soon at our meeting today at 11:30 a.m. through Zoom. Links in the comments, on our website, or in your emails.
The reading this morning is from Ernest Holmes' Love and Law, The Unpublished Teachings, page 74. We have discovered this in metaphysics, that we live and move and have our being in what we call an infinite mind, an infinite creative mind, an infinite receptive mind, and an all operative mind, and mind, all-knowing mind. And we have learned that the mind presses against us on all sides. It flows through us. It becomes operative through our thinking. We have learned that the human race, ignorant of the laws of this mind, ignorant of the power of our own thought, has misused it through that ignorance. We abuse that creative power of thought, and the human race has brought upon itself the thing which we have feared, because all thought is law, and all law in mind in action. The word which you speak today is the law which shall govern your life tomorrow. As the word which you speak ignorantly or innocently, consciously or unconsciously yesterday is absolutely governing your life today. As metaphysicians, then, we are not dealing with the material universe. We are not denying a manifest universe, but we are claiming that the manifestation is a result of the interactivity of the mind. And if we want a definite manifestation, we must produce a definite interactivity. As I recognize this infinite mind, this power and this presence, and the spirit of all knowing, this divine energy as love, as peace, as harmony, as abundance, I can take another deep breath and feel that spirit. This life, this breath is my life, my breath, and my love. I am that divine presence made manifest, and as each one of us, our individualized expression. As I know that this is true for me, I know that this is true for us all. We are all that divine love, divine peace, made manifest as individualized expressions of that love. So as I know this, I speak my word of blessings for this service. I speak my word of blessings for Rasheryl, McCreary, and all the musicians and all involved in this service. And I can rest in knowing that this service will unfold most perfectly. I bless this congregation most perfectly. Each one of us is this power, this presence, and unfolds and loves and with all of life. I pray special blessings for our healthcare workers, for our frontline workers, for all our teachers, for all our teachers of all faiths, knowing that we are all divinely guided. I know that we are all one in that divine love. I spend special blessings around our nation, praying for love, peace, and unity, because we are all one. And I pray love and peace to our world. In gratitude and blessings, I pray for the perfect unfolding of this service, for the perfect unfolding of this day, this week. I pray and release this word in trust, in peace, and in love, knowing that it's always done in that infinite mind. It manifests. And so we can release it and we can let it go, knowing that it's already done, and say together, and so it is. And amen. And now let me introduce Charity Lockhart.
turbulence surrounding you, these trying times are so hard to endure. In the middle of what seems to be your darkest hour, hold fast to your heart and be assured. This too shall pass, like every night that's come before it. He'll never give you more than you can bear. This too shall pass, so in this thought you'll be comforted, for it's in God's hands. This too shall pass. The Father knows the tears you cry before they fall. He feels your pain. His heart and yours are one. The Father knows that sorrow's heavy chains are strong, but with His strength you'll overcome. This too shall pass, like every night that's come before it. He'll never give you more than you can bear. This too shall pass, so in this thought you'll be comforted, for it's in His hands. This too shall pass. So set your eyes upon the mountain and lift your head up to the sky and let His arms of love surround you. Let Him take you, let Him take you to the other side. This too shall pass, like every night that's come before. He'll never leave you. He'll never give you more than you can bear. This too shall pass, so in this thought you'll be comforted. It's in God's hands. Oh, it's in God's hands. This too shall
That was one of our favorite friends, Charity Lockhart, who hasn't been here with us for a while, and we're really glad to have her back with that beautiful song this morning. So thank you, Charity, and she'll be back with us again during the offering time. So let's take a deep breath now as we move into this part of the service, and I'll introduce to you our guest speaker for today. Rasheryl McCreary has a very diverse background. She was a professional theater actress for a number of years. She is the CEO of Dow Leadership Development, where she has coached thousands of leaders and executives in Fortune 500 companies such as American Express, HBO, PayPal, the Harvard Business School, and many, many more. Very importantly, she's a practitioner. She's been a practitioner since 1993. She was trained at the Agape Center by Michael Bernard Beckwith. She was in my practitioner class. We finished practitioner training together. I love that fact. She is now in ministerial school at Holmes Institute. She has served as a consultant to the CLF Board of Trustees for the past 2 years. And just recently, she was appointed to the Board of Trustees at the Centers for Spiritual Living. I'd like to introduce to you my absolute favorite friend and my daughter, Rasheryl McCreary.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much, Mom. I love you so much. And you are my favorite friend too, and my mama, and my reverend, all of the above. So I am so thrilled to be here with you today, Creative Living Fellowship. I'm so thrilled to be here with you today. Oh, just taking a breath on that magnificent song that Charity Lockhart did that was so amazing. This too shall pass. That is our mantra for 2020. This too shall pass. And the beautiful reading by Reverend Dr. Joyce Bucher. So excited. And thank you so much, Joyce, for that. So today I am so thrilled to be here to talk about the power of the pivot. The power of the pivot. And this is following in the theme for the month at CLF, which is the contemplative life, the contemplative life. So you've been talking about ways to sort of to go within and to cultivate contemplation and spiritual practice and all of the tools and things that are necessary to navigate through the turbulence we're going through right now. And so Reverend Sherry has led us beautifully through that process and through different ways we can approach being and cultivating that contemplative life. So today I want to talk about the power of the pivot, right? So pivot is a ubiquitous word right now. Everybody's talking about pivot, pivot, pivot. Even though it's ubiquitous, though, it's a powerful word and it's an important word for us to keep in mind right here, right today. So the word pivot, and a pivot is actually a noun and a verb, right? So the noun definition is a pivot is a central shaft or a point around which a mechanism operates or oscillates, right, or turns. So it's a central shaft, let's call it. And to pivot is actually the act of doing that, right, of actually moving around that. And so here's the thing that's so powerful about the word pivot. So one of the things I remember as a child taking dance classes, right? And if you've ever danced, there's a term pivot, right? There's a pivot that you do. And when you do this as a dancer, what you do is you have to step out on one leg, right? You step out on one leg and that leg becomes your supporting leg, and you step out on the other leg and then you turn, right? So you have one leg planted, you put the other leg out and then you turn. That's a pivot. Right. So anyone who's done salsa or, any kind of dancing, you have experienced that. And so here's the beauty of the metaphor of a pivot. Right. So when we talk about the supporting leg or the central shaft, what is so beautiful is that really when you think about that in terms of your life, the question is, what is your life centered around, right? What is the central focus of your life? What is the central shaft around which your life operates? What is that supporting leg for your life, right? Because that will determine your ability to pivot, right? The action of a pivot is really just turning away from what you don't want, turning towards what you do want. But you cannot do that if in dance again, or even in mechanics or engineering, you cannot pivot if that supporting structure, that supporting leg, that central shaft is not strong, is not anchored. You cannot make the turn. You cannot turn around. You can't turn from where you're going to where you want to be, right? And so the big question to be asking right now is, what is my life centered around? Right? What is the centering of my life? What's the shaft that's planted? Where am I planted in my life? Am I planted in the television? Am I planted in, the news pundits? Am I planted in the worldly things that are going on, the upheavals, the up leveling, the chemicalization that's happening right now? Am I planted in the effects of that? Or am I planted and rooted in something that is more stable and more solid and more true and more lasting, right? So that's the big question. First and foremost, in any pivot, you've got to have a strong supporting leg. You've got to have a strong central shaft. And what we know is that that supporting leg, that central shaft, that mechanism, that anchor around which we move has got to be spirit. It has to be spirit. It has to be the presence of God, the power of God, that which is unchangeable, that which never can be altered, that which is always showing up for us, that which always sustains us, right? We have to be anchored in truth, in God, and we have to be anchored in. And we get there through our spiritual practice, right? We get there through our spiritual practice, through the contemplative life, through the meditation, the prayer work, the treatment, the affirmations, the visioning, like all of the tools that we have are the things that create that strong central shaft, right? So that is the first step of pivoting, is that there has to be something that's anchored and planted, and everything else moves around that. So that question is, where am I planted? Where am I anchored? And be honest with yourself as the answers come up to you, and see, where am I spending my time? Because we know that where your attention, energy flows where your attention goes. And so if your time right now is being spent, focused on the ways of the world and the activities of the world and the effects of the world, you cannot pivot. It's impossible. Right. And so one of the things I say in I have a Facebook group called Pray, Pivot, and Prosper. And one of the things I say in our daily prayer, and, almost every day, I say it to my group is, if you are engaged right now, so there's so much going on and there's so much news and it's so, explosive all the time. And if you're engaged with the things of the world, you're bound by the things of the world, right? On a very just granular level, if you're engaged with, watching, looking at things that don't align with your values, right? If you're engaged with entertaining things and people who don't align with your values, meaning watching them on the news, listening to what they're saying, being on Facebook, talking about them, or saying, oh, did you see what so-and-so said? That was so horrible, right? When you're doing those things, what you're doing is effectively putting your center out into the world of effects, right? You're moving the center of your being out to the world of effects. You're sending energy towards things that you don't want, things that are not aligned with your values. But when you click on it, when you look at it, you're actually sending energy to it. And, just on a human level, what you're telling the advertisers and media is like, oh, another person clicked. Let's keep doing more of this kind of news or this kind of content, right? Oh, another person clicked. Let's keep putting this person in the news because there's so much energy coming towards it when that particular person or that thing or that topic is on the news. So the point I'm making is that right now there's so many things vying for our attention. There's so many things that are calling us. The effects are so seductive, so strong right now, right? The effects are so strong and they're pulling us towards them versus us having a central anchored awareness and pure spirit and God consciousness from which we can then be really conscious about what our next move is going to be. So, Ernest Holmes says, I'm scrolling through my thing here. So, Ernest Holmes says, the power of life is in our own consciousness. We must turn there and recreate the environment or recreate our environment after the image of harmony instead of discord, right? We have to turn there and recreate our environment after the image of harmony. It is not enough just to believe that it can be done, because we all know in some degree it can be done, but it is not enough even to just say these things are so. We must prove them. There must be a continuous betterment in our affairs and everything we touch if we're going to prove that we know what we're talking about, right? So he's saying that as religious scientists, as those of us who are steeped in this teaching, who believe in this teaching, we have to prove it, right? And now is the perfect time to prove it, right? So instead of looking out at discord, if we want to have a different experience, if we want to pivot in our own lives, if we want the world to pivot, we have to turn within. We have to be looking at harmony, be looking at wholeness, be looking at peace, and also feeding those things out in the world, right? So we click on the things that we want to see more of. We click on the articles in the news, and we watch the news that we want to see more of, or the people we want to see more of, instead of feeding the beast of that which we do not want, right? So here's the thing, and I'm not saying that we turn away from the world in the sense that we ignore what is going on. So we don't ignore what is going on. We don't spiritually bypass what is happening. We don't spiritually bypass our feelings. But from a place of centeredness and anchoredness in spirit, we begin to look at the things of the world and the things that are happening right now. We look at those things and see God back of the appearance, right? Instead of being drawn into the argument, drawn into the whatever's pulling us, the inflammatory world, we look at the world and we see the truth back of the thing. Now, does it mean we don't do our worldly duty? No, we vote, we do our duty as citizens, we do our, we're good to our neighbors, we do all of those things. We hold people accountable, right? We hold people accountable in our personal life and in the world. This doesn't mean we bypass or give people a pass on bad behavior, but it does mean that we are exercising our own personal agency, our own dominion that we have over our lives, versus letting the world of effects do that. So that's that solid point, right? That solid shaft that is anchored in spirit, anchored in truth principles. And you do this by doing your spiritual practice, right? Your prayer, your meditation, your visioning, your affirmation, your literally turning away from what you don't want, declining distractions. I give myself 5 minutes a day to read the news. I'm just using that as an example because it's a big thing right now. 5 minutes, right? If I need to know what's going on, I can look at 3 or 4 different news blogs that I read, and I can sort of see what's happening, and boom, I'm done. 5 minutes, 10 minutes max, I am done. There's no reason to keep, now I have information that I need, but I'm not steeping myself and my consciousness and my life in all the craziness that's going on in the world. So you will have to cultivate your own way of anchoring yourself so that your central shaft and your central focus and the central pull of your life, the central anchoring of your life, is in the spiritual, in presence, in spirit, in truth, capital T truth, that does not change, cannot be touched, cannot be altered, cannot be impacted by the things of this world. Anchoring yourself in that. Now, the next thing that happens in a pivot, like when you're actually doing a pivot as a dance move, I don't know if you can tell, I've danced a little bit in my day. So the next thing that happens when you do a pivot is, you're on that supporting leg, right? That central shaft, and you step forward. So you step forward, and then you have to consciously turn your entire being, your entire focus, your entire body. You have to turn, and it is a conscious move. And the reason I love the word pivot is because here's the thing: when you step forward, initially you're stepping towards the past. You're stepping towards where you don't want to be. You're stepping towards what you don't want. You're stepping in the direction you don't want to go. That's the first move you make. You're stepping into the direction you don't want to go. And then boom, you consciously decide to turn on the axis. And you're now facing the way you want to go, right? There is power in that. There is power in that. Think about, how often we take that step and we're looking at our life or the world, and we're looking at all the things that are, an array of things that we don't want. There's beautiful things that we do want, absolutely. But if we're talking about pivoting, it's usually because we want to move away from one thing, moving to another thing, moving away from what we want to what we do want. And so that first step, right, of moving, that first step is like looking at what is arrayed here, right? What is going on here? Looking at the present, looking at the past. And that's an important step. You can't pivot without that step. You can't do the dance. You can't do that move without that step. But here's the thing that happens sometimes for us is that when we take that step and we see things in our lives or experiences or people or relationships or just effects of our consciousness, sometimes we get stuck there. We get stuck in that, looking at the past, looking at what's happened right now. And here's the thing that's really interesting. The present moment that we're experiencing is the result of old consciousness, right? So the moment we're in right now is a manifestation of consciousness from before. Yes. And so when we are standing there in that first step of the pivot, we're looking at what we have created, what is existing in our world. And it can be incredibly, incredibly seductive to stay there, right? To stay there feeling shame, to stay there feeling guilt, to stay there feeling beating ourselves up of, what have I created? What have I done? How did I get here? Or blaming other people or blaming the world or blaming circumstances or blaming events, right? It's easy to get stuck there in what we don't want. Sometimes we're stuck in what we don't want because it just feels comfortable, right? It doesn't feel good necessarily, but we know it. It's a pain we know. It's a frustration we know. It's an anger we know. It's a disappointment we know. It is nothing ever works out. We know it's the challenge or the thing that we've been working on, and we're seeing a practitioner and working in therapy, and we've been working on this stuff, and here we are back again. It's the thing that we know that's comfortable, right? And sometimes we just stay within that first step because it's comfortable, and we don't know when we turn around what's going in the opposite direction. See, the thing is, we tell ourselves, I want it to be different. I want to go in this direction. I want to be different. But sometimes when we take that first step, man, we see, people we love and relationships we love and things that we created, and we don't want to leave those things. We don't want to turn away from those things. And the truth is that unless we make a conscious move to turn, away from what we don't want, we can't move forward. We can't have a different experience. We can't do it individually. The world can't do it, right? If we stay looking at the effects, if we stay looking at our old consciousness, if we stay looking at what we've created, good, bad, and indifferent, we cannot move. We can't turn around, right? We can't go in the opposite direction or in a different direction. Now, this does not mean that we leave, that we leave people behind. Sometimes it feels like, I'm going to leave people behind, or does this mean I have to end my relationships, or, do I have to leave? And it doesn't mean that, right? It doesn't mean that necessarily. What it does mean is that by choosing to consciously pivot, you create such momentum, right? That's why I say the power of the pivot, right? If you see something pivoting, there's a lot of power in that. And when you make the conscious choice to pivot, to turn away from the effect and turn to first cause, turn to where you want to go, turn to your vision, when you make that decision, that momentum catches up the things in your life that are supposed to come with you, right? When you pivot, it helps people around you pivot. When you pivot, it helps circumstances, situations, relationships, experiences pivot, right? When you pivot, everything changes. The world pivots. When collectively we all decide we're going to stop looking at what is. We're going to stop looking at what is and getting caught and snared in that, and we're going to pivot and turn towards what we want it to be. The entire world will change. Right? The entire world will change. And again, it doesn't mean ignoring effects. It doesn't mean not holding people accountable. It means not being emotionally snared, not energetically engaged, not, there's an addictive, I don't know what the science is, but people who have addictions or addictive personalities, there's some kind of chemical release that happens from experiencing that addiction, right? Whether it's, I don't know, whether it's, hoarding or alcohol or drugs or whatever it is. And I forget, maybe it's oxytocin or whatever, some of you will know. But the point I'm making is that there's a chemical release when we practice an addiction. Yeah. And it's very compelling, and physiologically we're like locked in. And the same thing can happen when you are addicted to current events, right? You're addicted to the political cycle. You're addicted to the pundits. You're addicted to watching the news. You're addicted to like all the disasterizing and all the stuff that's happening in 2020. When you're addicted to that and hooked into that, it's a strong chemical response that you're having, right? So it takes a lot to consciously say enough, no more, this is it, and to turn around and face a new day, right? To face what is possible, to face what is before us, right? To face the vision that God has for our lives and for our communities and for our country and for our world. And so the power is that conscious choice, that conscious decision to say no more, enough, and to turn and begin to look at what is possible, right? What is possible. And here's the thing, that pivoting, sometimes you got to do it over and over and over again, right? There are times you have to practice it. And I always say this about spiritual practice. And I say this also so with my corporate coaching clients, my leadership coaching clients. I say, this work is not sexy, right? It sounds like really glamorous, like you're going to level up your life and you're going to level up your career and you're going to do all this stuff. And it sounds like really sexy. And it's totally not. It's totally not, because here's what it really is. It's like going to the gym, okay, and working with a trainer, and you have to do these exercises, right? And you have to do reps, right? And so, the spiritual work is like that. Like, you got to sit down and meditate every day for a certain amount of time. You got to do your prayer work every day. You have to say your affirmations every day. Like, if you want to change your life, if you want to be able to make that conscious shift, you have to do these very unsexy things, like doing reps, right? So you're doing reps of your, your spiritual, bicep curls and your spiritual, whatever flies or whatever it is, right? You have to do those reps, and you just do the reps and you do the reps and you do the reps. It looks like spiritual practice, looks like meditation, looks like visioning, looks like working with a practitioner, looks like going to a therapist, looks like, whatever it is, scripting or whatever it is for you, right? You do those reps. And then one day you wake up and the swimsuit fits, right? The swimsuit fits, right? That dress fits, your suit fits, your pants fit, the belt works, right? That's what this is. It's like the totally, not fun. And you have moments of like real highs in doing the work. You have moments of real, I guess endorphin rush or whatever. But it's really just like you got to do the reps. You got to do the reps. And then it gives you the strength and the power to consciously decide, no more of this. I am now turning around and I am going in a different direction, right? That's the power of the pivot. And so the last thing I want to just say is, so once you've actually made that pivot, anything is possible. The whole world is open at that point, right? You're staring into the future. You're staring into what you're walking into. Right? You're staring into the big, grand possibility that exists. It's all there. It's all wide open. It's all available to you. And so that is where you then begin to really plant into that consciousness, plant into that medium, plant the seeds of what you want, plant the vision of what you want, plant the ideas of what you want, right? Divine intelligence responds to us always, right? Spirit, the law always responds. It always responds. And it's really dependent. Your result is dependent upon what you plant into it, right? What you put into it. So this is where you want to now be really cultivating the vision. Do some visioning. Ask Spirit, what is your big idea, right? What is your highest idea of my life, of how I move forward, of my purpose for being on the planet, right? So asking visioning questions. And what's really interesting? You don't even have to do this stuff formally sometimes. I am in an intimate relationship with Spirit, and I talk to God, and and I know it's not a person, but I communicate with Spirit, and even about the small things. I will say, Spirit, show me the exact right passage to, I'll say, like, Spirit, show me the exact passage I need for this paper. What do you want me to say here? God, tell me what you want me to do in this moment, right? God, where are my sunglasses? Right. You're in an intimate relationship with that which moves and animates and breathes you into life and knows all things. Right. And you can have that relationship with Spirit that, you don't need the formality. Right. So even as you're looking at this new day, this new way, you can just be asking God throughout the day, God, show me what it is I'm here to do. Use me. Show me what to, what is mine to do, right? Move my hands, move my feet, show me what is possible, Yes. And so we begin to then cultivate such a divine, such a sweet, intimate relationship with spirit, that spirit just, moves and shows up in ways. And you do put your hand on the book and you open it. It's the right passage, right? You do open the drawer, boom, they're your sunglasses, right? You do get a phone call, like divine synchronicity kicks in, right? When you cultivate that relationship with spirit, divine synchronicity kicks in, and your world begins to open up. We've all experienced this. That's why we're here, right? We wouldn't be here if we have not experienced this at some point in our lives. Divine synchronicity, turning our lives around, transforming our lives. I'm not saying anything you don't know already. That's why we're here, because we know this stuff works. So what I'm saying is, let's work it. Right? Let's work it. Now is the time to really, really, really work these principles, work these ideas, work these concepts, to really live this life, this spiritual life that we're called here to do. Right? So what the world needs now is a bunch of people who are conscious, who are awake, and who are pivoting away from that which no longer works and pivoting towards a new day, a new way, a new vision, where we are cultivating and living in a world that works for everyone. We're creating a world that works for the individual, the world that works for everyone collectively. That is the work that we are here to do, but we can't do it if we're stuck on that first foot and we're looking at the past. We can't do it if we don't consciously choose to pivot, to turn away, to turn towards that which is greater, right? And we can only do it with that strong, anchored central point of being that is anchored in pure spirit, that is anchored in that which knows all, which gives all, which guides all, right? That is the only way to do it. So that is the power of the pivot. And I encourage you this day, for yourself, for your family, right? For your loved ones, for your community, for the world, to pivot. This is the time collectively for those of us who are conscious, who are awake, who know and understand how the law works. The law is impersonal, right? How the law works, for us to begin to put in and plant the seeds into that medium, the seeds of what we want, the seeds of beauty, the seeds of peace, the seeds of abundance, the things that we want to see flourish and grow in our lives individually and in the world collectively. And we can do this. We can do this because we know how. And most importantly, because we've done it before. We have proved these principles before. So here's the thing, we are all of us, especially in New Thought right now, are being called up in a great big way, right? We've been saying for years and years and years that the world is changing and it's going to be transforming, and we're all called here for the big grand change that is happening, the up leveling of consciousness that is happening. Well, guess what? It's here. It's no longer in the future. It's here. It's right now. It's happening now, right? And it's calling all of us up. It's calling all of us up higher into our practice, deeper into our practice, deeper into our understanding of truth principles, and deeper into our practice and acting out of truth principles. And as we shift and change, the world will shift and change. That is the absolute truth. And the people around us will shift and change. We won't have to argue. We won't have to try to cajole and get people to see our way. When we change, when we pivot, when we move into that life that God created us to live, that the divine highest ideal of our lives that God planted in us, when we live from that, when we manifest from that, when that divine idea expresses through our life and our livelihood and our way of being, we don't have to convince anyone of anything. They'll see it in our lives and they'll want it. And so that is our work and that is our call. So I just am so inviting us all to move into the power of the pivot. So let's turn within. And so we just take a nice deep breath right here, right now. Just taking a nice deep breath, letting that breath settle all the way in to the belly, all the way into the hips, as we allow any tension, any energetic clutter, anything that would block or hinder, dissolve into nothingness. And so right now we just breathe our way into the awareness of the one life, the awareness of the one power, the awareness of the one presence, the awareness of the one magnificence, that which is all that there is. We are just aware of God, divine intelligence, pure spirit that guides us and directs us and protects us and loves us and blossoms us and thrives us and flourishes us and grows us and breathes us. That which breathed us into being, that which thought us into expression. We move into awareness of that. The divine creator, the magnificent, one presence, one life. And knowing absolutely that one presence that is everywhere, that one intelligence that is everywhere, that one power that is everywhere is my life right here, right now. I know that I am made in the image and likeness and not a pure spirit. And I know that just as this is true for me, it is true for each and every individual in this center, in this place, in this service this day, that each one is made a unique and divine and a beautiful expression of the Most High. This is the truth of our beingness. I know it is so. And so from this place, I speak the word. I speak the word from a place of complete and total authority as I bless each and every individual in this space, in this place, right here, right now. Speaking a word of blessing for each and every one. I speak a word right now, blessing for the body temple of each one gathered here today. Speaking a word of wholeness into the body, knowing that wholeness is emerging, wholeness is radiating from every cell, every organ, every tissue, every action, every function of the body temple right here, right now. I know it is true, and I call forth the divine healing of the body for each one here. Speaking a word now for anyone and everyone needing this word this day of a healing of the body right here, right now, knowing that wholeness is all that there is, and it is established in each one. I speak the word right now for each and every individual gathered here today into the body of affairs, into our lives and our relationships and our loved ones covered by the prayer that is spoken here this morning. I speak a word of abundance into our body of affairs, abundance of love, abundance of ease, abundance of grace, abundance of power, abundance of pleasure in our lives. Abundance of happiness and joy sparking everywhere. I speak the word of abundance for each one right now. Speaking a word of financial prosperity for each one right here, right now, knowing that each one is thriving magnificently. I speak it, I see it, I know it, I call it forth and call it into beingness for each one. I speak the word of financial freedom. I speak the word of financial peace. I speak the word of financial prosperity. And we claim it by saying yes. Yes to the abundance. Yes to financial prosperity. Yes to divine, magnificent, overflowing money coming easily and effortlessly to all who need it right here, right now. And this word of well-being, this word of prosperity, this word of overflowing abundance, this word of overflowing health and divine radiance is spoken not only for this group here at CLF, but extended out into the cosmos for anyone needing a prayer this day. All is indeed well, no matter the appearance. And as we speak this word, I just know for each one, divine immunity is covering each and every individual, that we all walk in paths of absolute safety and protection and guidance and direction, knowing that nothing can come nigh our dwelling place, for we dwell in the temple of the Most High. And we are always guided, always guarded, always protected, and completely loved. This is the truth I know. This is the truth that is. And I am so thankful for this word that has been spoken this day. I am so thankful for the blessing and for the healing and for the uplifting. I am so thankful for the full rush into the life and the experience that we desire to have. I am so grateful for this movement. So grateful, so thankful. And so with a grateful heart, I release this word now unto the law, knowing it is complete and it is done. And we just say together, and so it is. And so it is.
So thank you so much, Rasheryl, for that beautiful message, for that very inspiring message. We really appreciate it. We're glad that you're here with us this morning for the first time, and we trust that you'll come back to visit with us real soon. And so now let's just move into our offering time. This is a time we give of our tithes and offerings here at CLF. As you know, CLF is a tithing church, and we invite you to participate in this sacred practice with us by clicking on the donate link in the comments or going onto our website and clicking on the donate link there. Wherever you go, we certainly appreciate the financial support that you've given us and continue to give here at CLF. Oh, and don't forget that you can text to tithe also. And so now let's just say our offering blessing together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God, and so it is. And so now here's Charity again with our offering song.
I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. One of the dark clouds that has made me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. I think I can make it now. The rain and the pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is the rainbow that I've been praying for, yeah. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Look around, it's nothing but blue sky. Straight ahead, nothing but blue sky. Blue skies, blue. I can sense, yeah, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Going on the dark cloud, yeah, it made me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, hey, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Oh, yes it is. It's gonna be a bright, oh, bright, sunshine. I'm looking for the sunshine. It's gonna be a bright, oh, bright, sunshiny day. Yes it is. Gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Oh.
Thank you, Charity. We hope that you'll come back to see us very soon also. So let's just take a breath as we move into our closing announcements. I just have a couple of announcements for you. Don't forget that we have our emergency membership meeting today, immediately following the service at 11:30. And we hope that you will all be able to join us for this very, very important informational meeting where we will be discussing the status of CLF and where we go from here. So I'll see you at 11:30 for that. Don't forget that we have many ways that you can pray with a practitioner now. Our newest method is through our Zoom prayer room that you can meet individually with the practitioner immediately after the service. Today, the prayer room will be open until 11:30 because of our emergency meeting, but you will be taken immediately into a prayer room with a practitioner that you'd like to pray with. Also, we have our on-call practitioners who are available 24/7 to pray with you. You can find their numbers and their names on the comment section and also on our website. And if you'd like to submit a written prayer request, you can email the Practitioner Corps at prayer@creativelivingfellowship.com. The practitioners will read your prayer requests and they will pray over your requests for the next 30 days. So don't fail to avail yourself of the services of Practitioner Corps and prayer if you feel in need of prayer now. Don't forget our Tuesday evening connection call that happens every Tuesday. I will be facilitating that again this week from 6:30 to 7:45. This week we will be having conscious conversation. So if there's something that you'd like to talk about or you'd like to have conversation or connection with the community about, be sure and email that topic to me at connect@creativelivingfellowship.com, and I will look that over so that we can decide what we're going to talk about on Tuesday evening. The important thing is it's a time that we come together and we connect and have really good, heartfelt connections with each other. So join us on Tuesday evening at 6:30. Don't forget to read the treatment for supply. More importantly, say the treatment for supply. Pray the treatment for supply. That's our community prayer. And that's something that we use every day, morning and evening, and really, really move into it with meaning, with feeling, with gusto, so that it really works. That's what Ernest Holmes says. Feeling is what makes us move into that creative soil that helps us to bring our prayers into manifestation. So be sure to read the Treatment for Supply, Science of Mind textbook, page 262. If you would like support from our congregant care team, be sure to reach out to them with an email to care@creativelivingfellowship.com. That's care@creativelivingfellowship.com for support from our congregant care ministry. Very importantly, don't forget to reach out to each other. Don't forget to text message or email or send cards or send letters or phone calls or however it is you connect, just to say, I love you, I miss you, I'm thinking of you, how are you? It's so important, as you know, during this time for us to stay connected. Meanwhile, know that I love you, I miss you, I can't wait to see you, and I'm trusting that all is well with you. And I'll see you in a few minutes at the emergency membership meeting. Take good care. God bless.